just a few minutes. And like Cody was saying, I mean, we have about 30, 40 seconds to go before we're supposed to get that first batch of early voting numbers.
The big batch,
The big batch, the only batch of early voting numbers. And if we could pull up the map here.
The drum roll, please. This is the drum roll moment, and appropriate for the gravity of the moment
there
here.
We are.
We may see this number tick up substantially as we're looking at it. 8 o'clock, we are here, 8 o'clock flat on the hour. This is the number right now. We're seeing about 1.6 million votes counted and reported in the state of Georgia. Let's bring in Jen Ryan and Fred Hicks, our panelists extraordinaire. Jen Ryan, the Republican. Fred Hicks, the Democrat, both veterans of the Georgia vote. If you're just tuning in at 8 o'clock, I want to start outside of the metro for a moment. Let's start over in the Savannah area, because I know that both campaigns have spent a lot of time campaigning in what is a relatively small, relatively speaking, population area in our state. So let's go over in this area here. You see Chatham County with about 7,600 votes reporting here with Vice President Harris, 73 to 25 her favor. Bryan County, 19,000 votes reporting with Donald Trump out to a big lead here. And if you take a look at Effingham County, about 75% of the vote in Effingham County is in. Donald Trump leading with a commanding lead, about 74% to 25%. What's the story, Jen? What was the goal of these campaigns in this chunk of our state, and how is it playing out?
Well, about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, the Trump campaign did do a big rally down on the coast, and I believe that was like the first time that a Republican presidential candidate had really ventured far outside, outside the metro Atlanta area or outside middle Georgia. So that's really interesting to me, and I'm wondering if this is part of the strategy to turn out low propensity voters
Jen, I'm so sorry. I want to cut in here for just a second. We have some breaking news. NBC is now calling Florida for former President Donald Trump. Again, NBC now projecting Florida will go for Donald Trump, as well as the states of Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama, and Oklahoma, all being called by NBC for former President Donald Trump. And I want to take us out to the full electoral map here. Take a look now. This is starting to get shaded in. A lot of states still early, a lot of states tipping for the former president here. I know we're talking about a lot of Georgia numbers here, but this is a good juncture to talk about the macro picture. Fred, are there any surprises here yet, or are these sort of the easy ones to fill in on the electoral map?
These are the easy ones. There are no surprises so far. In a place like Florida, the goal was just to try to keep it at single digits or less, because that's the state that Ron DeSantis won by close to 20 points just 2 years ago, and so. But
it was much tighter in his first campaign, right?
Well,
4 years before that.
It was. I was
on
the opposite side of him in that one in 2018. We lost that one by 32,000 votes, and then in 2022 we saw a big change, and then it looks like Florida's holding. So a state that, remember, in 2000 there was a 537 vote margin between Al Gore and George Bush. So no surprises there.
And keep in mind that these were not the swing states that we were looking at, like Fred was saying.
Which is a good time. Let me, Faith, you go ahead. I'm going to drive us back to our swing state here.
Bring us back to Georgia here. It looks like we are still waiting. Basically, you want to look at that total vote number. At some point, it's expected to tick up by about 4 million. So that is what we're expecting for those votes to come in, those early voting numbers. And that was part of, I believe, SB
202 or 189.
189.
And even as you're speaking, you just saw this number go up by about 50, 60,000. And I think we should note here, it probably isn't going to be just one giant batch that comes in. I think more likely it's going to be a lot of medium to large size batches that come in quick succession, but we'll see.
But those counties expected to, or now the law is for them to report it within the first hour of those polls closing. So Fred, what would you like to say?
So for our viewers, they're looking at the percentage, which is 55.5 for Donald Trump, basically 44% for Harris. But I want to call their attention to the absolute figures. So Donald Trump is a little bit over 1 million, and Kamala Harris is basically at 800,000. So there's about a 200,000 vote gap. But let me tell you why that's significant. A county like Cobb County had close to 320,000 people vote early. Fulton County had 200,000, 300,000. The same thing in DeKalb and these other places. So when these numbers come in, if the Democrats can get 3 out of 4 or even 60% of those, this percentage will flip significantly. So don't pay attention to this percentage as much as you want to pay attention to the absolute number, because when Metro comes in, the Metro 5, I think you can see something really significant.
And Fred, I hate to do this. Every time we get on a roll, we've got to make another projection here. But here we go.